Hello, everybody. I'm Dan Hollifield, and welcome to Last Man Standing. Um, I don't know how long we're going to be able to run tonight, but that is beside the point. We will go until we can go no longer. So, and then we are going to have to call it into it there at 1 o'clock or so I can get up in time to go to work in the morning. And right now, we have our very special Stephanie Osborne with us tonight. And she is getting ready to go to a convention this weekend somewhere in the outback of Tennessee.
Lebanon,
Lebanon.
Lebanon, Tennessee.
Look out for the camels. Oh, Lord.
I'm a tad bit nervous just because this will be my first
Yeah.
convention since my husband passed. So,
hmm
and he didn't always go with me to every convention anyway, because sometimes he just had conflicts. But for some reason, that's not making a difference this time.
No, and it wouldn't. It wouldn't. And I have no doubt there's going to be a moment or two where you'll have to step back and regroup. Just
Quite possible.
realize that uh, we're all there for you, even if we can't be at the convention. We're all there for you in spirit.
Yeah.
So you are not alone.
I'm bringing my husband. For those of you that have never seen him perform at a convention, he was a professional magician and balloon artist, and he had a character known as Dr. Osborne or Doc Osborne, and he wore a lab coat and a pith helmet with like steampunk style goggles on the pith helmet. And I'm bringing along the pith helmet and goggles because they're going to do a memorial. And I'm going when during the memorial I'm going to sit them on the front table. And otherwise they're going to be on my book table with me.
Mm. Now I have myself pulled the pith helmet and steampunk goggles off before, where for one of my costumes, um, and I do have a Miskatonic University lab coat that I have been. Uh,
I got him a Grew Industries lab coat.
mm, oh, I've had some fun, and actually I have been, even without the pith helmet, when I was wearing the lab coat, I have been mistaken for Doc a couple of times, and I'm going, wait a minute.
Well, there is a resemblance. It's just that you're a
the
lot taller.
the hair is not the same either. I mean,
No, that's true, but
yeah, yeah.
I'm looking to see if I can find a picture of him in his in his gear.
There should be a
Um,
plethora.
oh yes, I'm
Maybe
just
not on your computer, but online there should be just tons.
here we go.
And we've got two viewers at the moment, and we are very glad to have you. One from the Rising Tide channel, and one from my Facebook page. So,
I'm going. Do you want this in the private chat or do you want this in Messenger? The link to the
uh,
picture.
I don't know how they would come across in the private chat, but we can try either one. It doesn't
Okay,
matter.
I'll
We'll
put
make it
I'll
work.
put them in Messenger and we'll see.
Okay.
It's one of those long tailed
Oh yeah.
links, but maybe it'll work.
All right. It popped up. Now let me see about this share screen thing, which is entirely too difficult for There we go. Now there, and then back to here. It's got way too many steps. And ladies and gentlemen, this is the man, and he is
Yes,
putting
indeed.
together. I can't tell what that is. Whether it's a
It's a balloon hat. I'm not
okay.
sure. I'm not sure what he's going to put on top of it yet. But yeah, that's he's doing a balloon hat.
Well, it
So
could be. It could be. David Bowie's microphone stand for all I could tell from here. But
see if I can find a picture of him from a convention. Um, eh,
uh, here we go.
guys,
Well, Nita, you would know.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you very much.
It's hard. It just
Mm.
we were married for 38 years and together for 2 years before that, and it's just hard.
It's difficult for anybody, no matter how the length of time was that they were together. Um, and that's just one of those things that it gives people with that shared experience a an empathy that uh, other people with the same experience can sometimes find helpful. So um, uh, went through it
I,
myself. And
here's I'm going to give you a link to some of his work just for the heck of it. And this
okay,
was at a convention. And this is just hilarious.
oh yeah, I remember.
I think that was at LibertyCon. I'm not sure.
Yeah, and he also did one in the game room where everybody
Hmm.
playing games was linked together with
Yes.
a balloonal network rather than a neural network. So
Yes.
I hate the fact I've got to jump back and forth between two or three pages to get it there. There you go, folks. Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Now imagine an entire room of computer gaming where all of the people sitting at the terminals are linked up with hats like this. All of them are connected, and he did that too. He also did stuff, and I'm going off, so that Dan stop me when you've had enough.
oh,
But he also did balloon sculptures. I've seen a full sized motorcycle that he did.
yeah. Uh,
He did a 12-foot wingspan dragon. He did a full size Dalek. He did a full size. What was the name of the robot from Lost in Space? The original one.
B9.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. He did a full size B9. The man was just incredible with the
I
stuff that he could do.
I was there when somebody challenged him to do a full size TARDIS, but I don't know that he ever actually did it, or if he did a pint sized one.
He did. He did. And yeah. Um, and it was amazing. And then he figured out how to do the miniature ones, the tabletop ones, and those were so cool. And he would do a tabletop Dalek. And oh, let me show you this one. You'll probably recognize.
No, Chris, not K9, B9. K9 was Doctor Who's little robot dog.
Yeah, and
You're
he's
you're
done those.
crossing the streams here.
He's done one of those. So
There you go. Yeah, Nita's never seen that before, so yeah. Um, man could the man could turn balloons into more
art,
different
art.
arts than people would give anybody credit for being able to do.
If
And
you
it,
if you pull this one up, you've got the balloon and you've got the voice artist who did the character that the balloon is based on.
oh, definitely. Oh, let's see.
And if memory serves, that one came from Dragon Con.
Yeah, so that's an experience I have yet to have. It's just too many people in too small a space.
Well, it's too big a venue for me. I can't get around it without more pain than I care to deal with.
Well, yep. And my problem is it's just uh, too many people.
Yeah,
Uh,
that too. So I mean, this is. I mean, he was so talented in so many ways, and I miss him so much.
but the nice thing is you did have that much time and you got to do and be and have so much. And part of that is why you miss him so much now. But
Yeah, I mean, we were together a lot. And geez, the bottom just fell out there.
really,
Yeah, it's pouring down out there.
I have not been able to get the radar on the weather thing on my computer for about 3 days now. And I'm wondering if they're doing upgrades or what. Haven't been able to use the official Weather Channel thing for over a year. Uh,
Hmm.
and I think that's because they want me to start paying a subscription to be able to look at it on the computer. I'm not sure. Um, it used to be very, very useful, but now I'm just using the one that came with Windows. But now part of it's messed up. So maybe there'll be another upgrade, or maybe they're just trying to convince me I need to go to Windows 11. And I'm going, not if it's going to make some of my programs stop working. Oh, you, I have been told you can use emulators to use some of the old legacy programs that you used to have on other computers, and I've never been able to make that work.
Hmm.
Uh,
Oh! Here's one of the dragons.
which one you want me to show first?
Either one. I just found the dragon. I haven't posted it yet.
Oh, there's entirely too much clicking to do this, make this work.
I'm sorry.
No, no, it's not your fault. It is StreamYard's fault for you got to switch screens like 6 times in order to get something to pop up. So
Okay, this one I'm just now posting is the dragon.
okay, and let me unshare that one and go back to Messenger. Oh wow, folks, you have got to see this. I've seen Godzilla movie monsters that weren't this good.
And that's going to be a good 5 or 6 feet tall and a good 12 to 15 feet across wingspan. Because at one point we had the wings outstretched, but
That's
he had
that's
he had to adjust it because it was taking up too much space.
That's almost wearable.
Yeah,
You could
yeah.
just about strap somebody in that and have them walking around.
Uh-huh. And you could. It you could fit somebody in that. It was that big.
Yeah, Anita, that's just one of the awesome things. It's really so much so awesome. Ah, and his comedy while he was doing the magic act is just absolutely brilliant. Just brilliant. Oh, you found it.
Yep. And I don't know if you recognize the two people standing with him.
Mark and Krista.
Yes. Yes. So and they loved it. They had him. He built it in um an open area in the hotel, and then they made him move it to and I think this is after the move, so it's a little bit, kind of uh, slightly wonked, but they made him move it to their signing table.
Oh,
So
that is that is just absolutely awesome. And for people that aren't in the know, those are two of the stars of Lost in Space standing on either side of the robot there
yeah,
with
from
Doc. So
from the original series.
yes, the original 1960s series of Lost in Space.
Hmm.
So um, yeah, I could see where they would have to have it. Basically, I'm
Yep.
wondering which one of them took it home. I am, no, seriously. I'm wondering which one of them go, hey, I'll fight you for it.
Well, now balloon. The unfortunate thing is that balloons don't really last that long.
Yeah,
So,
he made a tiara for Lindsay and for one of my nieces, and they both lasted about. Okay, we came home on the Monday after the con, and they were starting to go deflated about the Thursday after.
hmm
Yep,
that's about right.
and I don't remember if it was my niece or if it was Lindsay says, "Can't you make another one like this?" And I go, "No, honey, I don't have that skill. I can just about nail a couple of boards together. I can't do nothing with balloons. I'm sorry. My last name is not Montgolfier." So,
I'm trying to find. There's a picture of me with one of his pieces, a couple of his pieces of artwork, and I'm trying to find it.
well,
I thought I had it on. Go ahead.
one thing that people might not realize is he did your cover art for almost all of your books that are out right now.
He did, yes. He was his day job was graphics artist, and he did a lot of the covers for my books, and a
He
lot for other
for other
authors as
people as
well.
well. Yes, I was about to say, yeah, and
Um,
they're awesome stuff. Absolutely awesome stuff. Um, did the cover for my third album, which is based on four of Stephanie's books, and you can find that downloadable on my Bandcamp page. Please go ahead and buy the album. That
yes, it's
way,
excellent.
yes, and
Let me see. Give you an idea of some of the stuff that he's done. I'll hit some of the And you, like I said, tell me we're moving on anytime.
Oh,
I'm just I'm
I do
showing
not have
off.
I do not have an agenda here, and this is more entertaining than me just trying to think of something else to say.
Well, I mean, I'm proud of him,
Mhm.
and
Rightly so. And there are a
um,
lot of people out there that never got the chance to meet him, and this is one way for them to get a taste of what it was like to be at a convention where he was entertaining.
yeah, let's try.
Right. My
That might
camera.
not be the whole thing. Hang on a minute. That's the crop.
Oh,
Okay. Never. Don't use that one. Hang on. I'm
don't
getting
use that one. Okay.
yeah. I'm getting the full up one. There we go.
Oh yeah.
This will give you an idea of what he could do, folks. You saw what he could do with the balloons. This is an example of his artwork.
That did not come across as a link. So let me see
No, I
if
uploaded the image.
I will. I will do my best.
Well, let me see if I can do it a different way then.
Wait a minute. I've got it here. Just whether or
You
not
got it?
it's
Okay.
it's. I don't know if it's going to be large enough once I actually get there. So
Well, and let's get let's while we're about it, let me grab burnout. Sorry, I'm starting to dance in my chair.
oh, don't worry. You
The
can always take a break and come right back. I mean,
No, no. What
I
it
do it all
is
the
there's
time.
a Johnny Cash. I've got still got the TV. I've got my headset on, but I got the TV on in the background, and they were playing a Johnny Cash song, and I started getting down to the Johnny
You
Cash
got
song.
chair dancing,
Yes,
and that's your first book.
that was my first book. Yes,
Yes, I remember that. I remember that one most, especially because of the unfortunate timing.
yes. That one for that one actually, I wrote. I worked in the space program. I worked flight control, payload flight control for shuttle, and then later station. And so I was, somebody said, they say, write what you know. So I sat down and started putting together a story about a space shuttle disaster and the ensuing investigation and cover up. Because it turned out that what happened was sabotage at some very interesting levels. Um, and I had just finished the first draft, and Travis Taylor was a friend. Daryl introduced Travis and me. Daryl knew him from work, and Travis offered to mentor me to help me get published. So I finished the first draft, and I sent it to him, and he was going over it when the Columbia disaster occurred with a friend of mine on board, and the disaster that I had ginned up for the book was so close to what actually happened, it was unreal. I wanted it started with I wanted certain states to be overflown so that I could write the scene in the book of my main character in his backyard watching it fly over and break up. And so from that I backed up And I said, okay, if I'm going to do this and he's here, then I have to have, it's got to have these overflown states, and that sets the intended approach to the Cape,
So
and that sets
you
the
actually did the
trajectory,
math to make it work as
more or less. Yeah.
a theoretical exercise.
Yeah. And so I backed all the way up to determining, um, here's the reentry, here's the orbital or orbit it would have had to have with this inclination relative to the equator, and if that's the case, that's a little bit unusual. So that means it would have had to have been this kind of a mission, and they would have been doing this sort of thing. And doggone it, it was Columbia to a T. The only difference between my even the area of breakup was the same. Um, the only difference between my fictional scenario and what happened to Columbia, there were two things. One is that my fictional scenario was sabotage, and two was that my fictional scenario had the debris field extend off the Texas coast into the Gulf of Mexico. Those are the only two differences. And especially when I lost a friend in it, and Columbia was the bird I worked with most, so it was almost like losing two friends. Um, and Travis actually, he was like, he called me. I was like, no, 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 Steph, I get you're upset. No, because I was ready to delete the file. I was getting ready to junk the book. And he was like, no, 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 don't do that. Don't do that. It's a good story. It's a good story. Don't do this. You knew your stuff. You wrote it. It's just sheer bad coincidence luck that it turned out to be a very similar sort of mission. And so he talked me into not deleting it. And then he helped me polish it, and then he helped me find a publisher. And as they say, the rest is history.
Hmm.
So
And for those out there who might possibly run into Duck Travis Taylor at a convention, here's a word of warning. Um, don't ask him about string theory when he's been drinking. He's not fond of that, and you might get an answer that is more honest than you're prepared to
well,
receive.
he and I wrote a book together based on M theory,
Hmm.
and at that point in time, that marked our really getting to know each other really well, working on that book. But at that point in time, he didn't know me that well, and he thought he was going to have to give me a primer on M theory, not realizing that I had already based my displaced detective novels
On
on M theory. Um, so
I don't think he had much splaining to do there, Lucy.
he didn't. All I had to do was read through what he had, and I jumped in and started writing. And he was like, "Whoa, you get this!"
Hmm. Now,
So
one of the TV shows that he was on, I mean, had it was Rocket City Rednecks,
hmm
and it was not widely disseminated, but I found the episodes that I was able to find were very entertaining. He did a an appearance with one of his cohorts on, I believe it was a Tonight Show or Letterman
it was the Tonight Show
Tonight
with
Show,
Jay
and
Leno.
they were trying to illustrate how to dock and retrieve something while you were in orbit. And basically, they were using fire extinguishers for reaction motors and uh, uh, swivel chairs or a desk chair, some kind with wheels on it, so that you were not locked in one position. You had to use the thrusters to maneuver,
Right.
what was it they were trying to pick up? Was it a 2 liter Sprite bottle or
something like that. It's been a long time, but yeah.
oh,
And I remember that they cut to commercial when it because it was two of them and the chairs were locked together and they were having to work together. And I think Leno was in one of the chairs, and they actually wound up turning the fire extinguishers sideways so that they got it spinning.
yes, 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 they did. And I do believe Jay got a little bit car sick there,
I
but
think so, yeah. But I actually helped with that show. It aired on the National Geographic Channel.
that's why I didn't get to see it very often.
And I did a lot did some work behind the scenes. One of the episodes, basically Travis and I brainstormed together. The Mars exploration
Hmm.
episode, he and I brainstormed that one together. They wanted it to kind of be a family kind of a cast. So since I'm not a member of the family, I wasn't on the show, but I was there for a lot of the episode filming. Not all of it, but and then I also they had a fan page on Facebook, and for quite some time I was the administrator of that.
Hmm.
Um,
There, if I can't remember what the second show was because I never got to see a single episode of that,
well,
but
he's had
it was
several.
this one was rednecks blowing shit up, basically.
That was Rocket City Rednecks.
Okay,
And then he was also on the Weather Channel with three scientists walk into a bar.
okay, I never got to see a single thing of
Um, and then now he's got the I can't think of the name of it. Widow brain hit again. The one on the History Channel about Skinwalker Ranch, and I
that.
can't
Okay,
think of the name of it.
I'm
Um,
not familiar with it, so I can't
I'm
help out.
sorry, Travis. I apologize. I'm just occasionally
She's
since
been packing suitcases all day and lugging stuff in and out of the house, so
yeah.
cut her a break.
Um, well, I mean, plus ever since I lost Daryl, I'll be talking along and suddenly the word just isn't there. It's just and
Hmm. Sounds like me when I'm writing sometimes, but I don't have the same cause to that effect.
well, and this is I will space cadet on a word when I'm writing, but there's a reason why I keep up thesaurus.com in one of the tabs on my
Hmm.
browser. Um, but this is worse. This is like I'll be talking along and it's a little bit ADD because it's kind of like, oh, squirrel, what was I saying? You know, um, somebody will interject a comment, and that comment completely derails my train of thought, and it's like, what was I talking about? And I was talking to my mom and dad earlier. They're elderly, and mom has had a couple of strokes, so I try to check in on them. Typically, not always, but typically once a night or once every other night, as I have time. Um, and I did that to them tonight. It was like I was talking about something, and then Daddy said something, and I went off on a tangent, and then I came back to it, and it's like, what was I talking about? And it was actually Mom who came up with it. so, so,
Okay.
so the stroke victim did a better job of remembering what I had been talking about than I did. So, but you know what? It affected her physically, but mentally she's still sharp.
That's a very lucky thing right there.
So
It really is. Um, there was a time about 3 years ago where Lindsay swore up and down that I'd had a mini stroke because there was definitely something was off with me, and it was aggravating to say the least. But I don't know exactly what it was, and it doesn't seem to have done me any permanent harm. And I'm back to about as normal as I could ever get for me, which is, uh, 10 degrees of what the fuck?
Yeah.
Because my brain goes off in 100 different directions at once, and only some of them ever come back home to roost, as any writer would be able to empathize with, I do believe.
But it before, I mean, I was used to listening to multiple communications loops on my headset in the control center
Hmm.
and keeping up with them. And I find, and everybody tells me I've been to see a grief counselor. He assures me this is normal. It's called grief brain or
Hmm.
widow brain. Um, but I find it disturbing because I made my living by using my brain.
Well,
You
yeah,
know,
you're normally tightly focused and in control at all
yeah,
times, and then now you're finding yourself less tightly focused
yes.
occasionally, and it's disturbing.
Well, what I was supposed to do some science panels for the convention this weekend, and in fact, I was going to develop a new one. And they basically told me once Daryl passed, they said, "No, Steph, no, we don't want you doing any programming. Um, not because you're not capable, but I knew I wasn't. Um, but because you need to just sit down and just be with us." And that's what they wanted. And
Hmm.
and so I'm going to set up a book table to sell books, um, but I'm not doing any panels. Oh, they've got a few that they say, if you attend and you want to jump in and you feel up to it, go for it. And I don't know whether I'm going to or not. I'm going to wing it, but it's only like two or three.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm going to go and I'm going to visit with people and I'm going to see if I can't sell a few books.
Well, I'm going to have to step off to the smallest room, and rather than leave you solo, I'm just going to play something here that I've got written
Okay.
up. It's just I really need to update it because it's got a an outmoded uh, rising tide schedule on it. But I do believe it's one of the ones where I didn't do the voiceover, so it's just a piece of music that I did with a visual. So everybody just relax. It's from year ago, 2 years ago, so it's not entirely accurate as to the visual, but the just enjoy the music. I'll be right back. And we are back. And I'm sorry once again about the schedule card being outdated on that. Rising Tide shows schedules change so often. And when that happens, if I want to keep these little videos that I've done for this show current, I have to delete the schedule card video from the audio, the complete recording of the MP4, and put the new one in, then readjust the time so everything matches up with the stay in time with the music, man. But
which is a monumental pain in the butt.
yes, it is. It takes longer than actually fixing the schedule when the shows change. A new show comes on or an old show goes on hiatus or whatever. It only takes about 30 minutes to do that and get a re uploaded schedule card available for everybody on Rising Tide to download and use. But it might take me an hour or so of fiddling around with the audio to get the new little things here that I've done for this show. I've got to do it because the new schedule is a whole lot different than the old one. There's some new shows coming in, and there's some old shows that are uh, some gone and some taking a break. So I've got to get on that sometime when I'm uh, not busy trying to finish my next book. I'm right down to the wire. I'm right down to the wire. But I only get like 1 day a week that I can type. With all the rest of the stuff I've got to do, I only get about 1 day a week that I can sit down and just let it go and let the words come out of my fingertips. And that's, that's it's not conducive to putting out several books in rapid succession, but this is the way I work. It the situation will probably improve enormously in 23 months when I retire from the factory, and I've got nothing better to do than yeah, it's going to be either sit and write or do yard work or home improvement stuff. And of the three, I'll let you know which one I had pretty much rather be doing, and you can probably guess.
Yeah.
Sitting at
Um,
the word processor is a whole lot better than putting on a Tyvek suit and crawling into the house and looking at whatever. Does this thing need to be propped up, or does that board need to be changed? The nice thing about crawling under the house and looking to see whether or not stuff needs to be fixed is I've got 100,000 black widow spiders right there at my shoulder going, "Hey, dude, have you seen this thing yet?"
oh my,
They're very friendly.
I bet.
Um, they 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 uh, they leave me alone as long as I leave them alone. So
I'm extremely arachnophobic.
I should be. I really should be. I don't know why I'm not. Probably it's a measure of my lack of sanity. So
Well, the um, the spider scenes, the giant spider scenes from both the Harry Potter movies and the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit,
hmm
cannot watch.
mm,
I'll listen to them, but I won't watch them. Tuck my head, go in the next room, whatever.
hmm I imagine the steampunk version of the Wild Wild West movie with the giant mechanical spider isn't much easier to bear, but for a totally different reason.
Yeah, but it is at least mechanical. I tell a funny on myself. we were in we were in Walmart one time, and this was back when they used to carry pets and stuff like that, particularly fish and whatnot. And I was thinking about setting up an aquarium um, at home, and so I was over there, and I was walking down the wall of fish, as it were, um, looking at the different kinds and wondering, will this work with this one, and whatever. And I got to the end, and I turned around, and I was like right here to a terrarium, and inside the terrarium was a tarantula about the size of my hand.
Hmm.
And I wasn't expecting it, did not know it was there. And like I said, I am extremely arachnophobic. So I screamed because I'm basically, nose to tentacle with a spider, a big spider. And you never saw the like of Walmart employees come running, because I mean, I screamed.
I was about to ask, how much glass did you break?
I did not break any glass, but only because directly behind me happened the way I was positioned. Directly behind me was the empty aisle. So when I
Well,
jumped back, there was nothing back there.
no, no, I was thinking,
Oh, with
your
the scream.
yes,
Yeah,
probably
no, I'm not.
probably the wrong frequency.
Yeah, I'm not. Although, um, do you know what a house centipede is?
Yeah.
We just got the long, long, spindly legs.
Hmm.
I had never encountered one before. And so we were not long in this house, and I got up one morning, and I went in the bathroom, and I turned on the water at the sink, and a house centipede, which to me looks like one of those. It looks like somebody took. It looks like God took about a dozen daddy long legs and glued them ass to head, and this thing came scuttling out of the sink drain at a speed that nothing should move. And I'm not even awake yet. I've barely got my eyes open, and this thing is like nightmare. And I screamed, and I felt myself break into a falsetto that was so high that nobody heard it. I did not scare Daryl. Daryl never heard me screaming because I evidently went ultrasonic.
I imagine Elron was a little disturbed.
Well, this was before Elron's day.
Oh,
This
okay.
Yeah, we've been in this house. Speaking of Elron,
Yes.
he's up here now. Um, Come around here and say hello to the folks. Say hello to the folks. Here's my
He-
kitty boy.
He's a beautiful cat.
Yes, he is. Uh, um, Roughly 35 years we've been in this house. So this was probably no more than 5 years in. So
So you've definitely gotten rid of all of the spiders by this time.
done my dead level best. Occasionally one sneaks in. He doesn't last very long if I have anything to say about it.
Yeah, really, it's either
But
fly swatter time or a can of white rain and a cigarette lighter.
yeah,
James Bond did that trick once in a movie, and he didn't set the hotel on fire. God only knows why.
I'm also pyrophobic, so that's probably not a technique I would use. No, my grandfather, when I was a toddler, he had an accident involving a container of gasoline and the furnace pilot light.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he did not long survive it. So um,
Oh, that is horrible.
I am so pyrophobic that it is difficult for me to light a match because my hands shake so much. I generally break the match. And I don't even really like to use cigarette lighters. If I use a lighter to light a candle, I'll use a fireplace lighter.
One of those long snouted ones.
Hmm.
Hmm. I use the same thing on my barbecue grills, actually, but that's mostly because I took a long time growing the hair on my knuckles, and I want to keep it for a while. Used to live in a place that had a fireplace, and it's amazing how seldom you get hair on your hands to stay for very long when you've got a fireplace that you're trying to load up.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Uh,
Um, Daryl, bless him, Daryl, before he and I met, part of his repertoire included fire eating. And when we started dating and we got kind of serious, and he realized that I was that. No, you don't need the cord, baby. No, let's let the cord alone. Yeah. Um, he realized how badly pyrophobic I was. He stopped, but he took me to a magic club meeting, one of the local groups, um, while we were dating, and we didn't know that one of the younger members was learning to fire eat, and he decided to do a demonstration at the meeting. And Daryl, when he did it, Daryl had to tackle me
so
because I was about to climb out over people.
you were on your way to the parking lot the short way.
Yes, yes, and he literally had to tackle me.
I've
So,
often wondered, how do people work up to that? I mean, lightning bugs first or what?
um, somebody who knows what they're doing, teaching them the techniques,
That lets me out because not
and
only do I not want to know how, but I don't know
you
anybody
don't
that.
want this. You
Oh
don't
no,
want
no,
this either.
no, no. Uh, it's gotten to the point now to where my mom still wants me to shave the beard, but she wants me to keep the mustache, and she swears up and down I was born with a pair of glasses on my face and a mustache. And I'm going, that would have tickled and hurt at the same time. And imagine the shock on the face of the doctor.
You got to hear this.
Oh, per motor.
Can you hear him?
Hmm.
He's getting a belly rub, and he loves belly rubs from Mama.
He loves mama, period.
Yeah, he likes to cuddle with me. He's been really, really, really affectionate and really sticking close since Daryl's passing. And I'm really no, you don't need to chew the cord. I'm a little worried about going off and leaving him this weekend,
Mm,
but I'm trying to minimize it. Minimize my time away. And I sit down and I talk to him and I tell him stuff, and I know he understands because I've had him respond. Um, and like I'll tell him now, if the weather goes to getting bad, I want you to get over here and get under this. Do you understand me? And he'll look up at me. He'll look at where I've told him to go, and he'll go get under it. And then he'll look out from under at me to make sure that I've seen what he's done. So I know he understands.
hmm.
So I tell him, if I'm gonna be gone, I tell him. And when I got back from the funeral up at Clarksville, Tennessee, um, I walked in the front door, and right inside the door to the left is the hallway into the master suite, and then just past that is the stairway going upstairs. And he came thundering down those stairs. Meow, meow. He was so glad to see me.
Hmm.
So
Yep. We when we leave for a convention, we'll tell um, Susie or one of the other the earliest generation of cats that are still with us, guard the house. And we come back, and there is not a coyote within 100 yards. One time we came back, there was a deer laying in the ditch next to the mailbox, and I'm going, Susie, what did you do?
A dead deer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now she's been looking at the sheep in the yard across the road, and I'm going, no,
No, not
no,
yours.
no, you cannot. We will get in trouble for that. Besides, you're allergic to mint sauce. Yes,
He's
folks, this is why people buy my books.
Elrond is right here. He's tucked in. He's tucked into my side.
And purring up a storm, I can still hear it, even though you're not holding the microphone on him. I can just hear it in the background.
Yep. He has a very very loud purr. And you can hear him when he gets a motor revved. You can hear him over half the house.
Hmm.
So yes, he's. You can probably hear him. So
Sounds like a chainsaw about 2 blocks away, but yeah.
kind of yeah. But he's a mischief.
Oh yeah.
Um. He.
Aren't they all?
Oh yeah. He.
We had we had Violet the other night. It was, I think, uh, it's either Monday or Tuesday night this week. She was in the house. It's warm enough to where she doesn't really want to come in off the porch, or sometimes she won't even come onto the screened-in porch. She'll stay out in the yard. But she was in the house, whichever night that was, and I was sitting in here. I was either in somebody's show or watching somebody's show, and I heard this awful ripping noise behind me. And she was at the bedroom door, the master bedroom door, trying to claw her way through the wood to get in there to be with Lindsay, who had gone to bed. And she doesn't often do that. And Lindsay woke up and went and let her in the bedroom, even though Lindsay's knitted comforter and the handmade uh, uh, bolster cover that she's put on there, and that's the reason the door stays shut, so the cats don't go in there and start clawing stuff up. But
Uh-oh. Dan.
it's like when I went to bed that night, it's like I lay down and did my usual. I put one hand under the pillow to prop it up just a little bit. Reached out for Lindsay to hold her hand with my other hand, and the cat's right there. So I'm holding Lindsay's hand, and the cat is snuggling between the two of us and clawing the hell out of everything.
Of course.
Yes, so I had to take my hand out from under the pillow and try and, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that, don't wake her up, don't ruin my life, you silly cat. Uh, don't piss off the wife.
In the
But
middle of the night.
in the middle of the night, yes, the worst possible time to be pissing somebody off. But no, Violet eventually settled down. So there, the three of us were just in one nice little warm pile. And before Lindsay had made all the stuff for the bed, we were used to having um, either one or both dogs on the bed and as many cats as would fit, allowing room for us. So it was talk about a 3 dog night. This was 2 and 5, so ratio of dogs to cats.
Yeah.
Um, but we never got cold.
Oh, I bet.
It-
In the summertime, though, I bet it was a little rough.
Well, the window unit air conditioner took care of that. So it um, Lindsay enjoys lower temperatures than I do.
That would be me too.
And matter of fact, uh, my hands and my fingers and my lips start turning blue anytime the temperature gets under 70 degrees. And her comfortable temperature is probably best measured in Kelvin.
Daryl and I had that problem, especially after they put him on all of the heart meds. And I like to keep the thermostat set at around 67, 68 degrees. Um, and he was like, aren't you freezing to death?" And I'm like, "No, honey, I'm not. If I had it any higher, I'd be sweating."
Hmm.
And I finally got him to understand that no, I can only take off so many clothes. You can put more on if you're cold. So he finally got, no, baby, you don't need, no, let the cord alone. Hurt the kitty. Yeah, it hurt the kitty.
Yep.
That's a good.
We had a situation here just about a week ago, and it was getting rather chilly outside at night still, and not like this week where it's been tropical. But
Well, I mean, yeah, last night I was about to freeze to death.
yeah,
It's over here. It's been a roller coaster.
it was in the 40s outside, and in the rest of the house it was in the 60s. And I've got this little space heater back here that I can turn up. And Lindsay comes back here to check to make sure that I haven't gone to sleep in my chair again, which I do have a bad habit of doing. And it's just gone from 79 to 80 degrees just before she opens the door. She goes, "Aren't you burning up?" And I'm going, "Hell, honey, my fingers just stopped being blue. What are you talking about?" I don't know what it is, but it started a long time before I had to take the blood thinners. But I
Well,
have
some
I
people
have,
are just,
I have never been able to tolerate the cold very well.
Daryl never could. So yeah, it's um excuse me, my throat just dried out.
Oh, bless you. More water, more water. Yeah, I've got to keep a bottle of water like that next to my desk at work, because if it's beyond coffee time at work,
Hmm.
um, I will go through a gallon of water in the other 6 hours a day that I'm at work,
Excuse
and
me.
it gets even worse. It'll be like that for me when I get out in the factory and have to be breathing the dust, which will go right through a mask no matter what anybody says.
Yeah.
Um, but I will be hacking and coughing around, and I've got to have a cup of water there so I can try and cut down on the amount of coughing I'm doing, because people will think I've got the plague.
Yeah.
So,
But no, I'll be talking along, and suddenly my throat will dry out and seize up.
hmm
Yes, won't it? Yes.
I just noticed this, Chris. Yes, once I go to sleep, it's best to just leave me alone. I will wake up on my own. That way, you don't get the police called to your house trying to play air raid sirens through a microphone in a vain attempt to wake me up.
Ah, yeah, Chris, you're right. These days, especially, they'll think you got the epizootic,
Yeah.
and and you know, um, I have allergies, and I have copious postnasal drip. So I sniffle and I
Mm.
hack, and occasionally I will have a sneezing fit. And I often have a sneezing fit after I eat. So that gets embarrassing if you're out at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Because when I say a sneezing fit, I mean I'm sneezing straight on for about 5 minutes and barely able to get in a few words in between
Hmm.
sneezes.
I would try and cultivate the phrase, "Who had the pepper?" Deflection.
Idea. That's a definite idea. So,
Oh.
because occasionally I get these, especially these days, I get some people looking at me real funny, like, what is the
Mhm.
matter with you? And am I going to catch it? No, you can't catch it because you can't catch allergies. So,
I,
anyway,
I would just look at him and say, "Yeah, I'm allergic to stupidity. Would you mind stepping back a little bit further?"
yeah,
But then um, I no longer have any cares left to give, to phrase it nicely.
yeah, I understand. I try to be careful and not risk carrying anything back to mom and dad because they're
Yeah,
in their 80s.
me too. Same
And
thing. And it's just mom these days, but yeah, same thing. I am almost deathly afraid to go and visit my mother because I might have something that she would catch.
yeah,
And
and forget the beer bug 'em. It could be it could be the flu. I mean,
yeah,
it doesn't have to be the current epizootic of the day.
no,
It
it could be anything whatsoever. I mean,
and Chris makes another good point. The pollen is getting ready to go crazy down here in the south. And the funny thing is I'm not allergic to pollen. I've been allergy tested. Um I'm not allergic to pollen. It's just an irritant. And if you've ever looked at a microscopic photograph of pollen particles, you can see why. They're all prickly ends.
they look exactly like a sweet gum ball.
Yes, they do. And we used to have battles when I was a kid with those things.
Oh, now back up on the farm, we actually have a chestnut tree, not a real chestnut tree, just one of the ones that survived the blight. So the little spiky balls that come off of it uh, that look more like something you'd find under the surface of the ocean than you would hanging from a tree,
Hmm.
sea anemone or whatnot, but one that has a real bad attitude. Uh, they don't have any chestnut seeds inside the edible part, so they're just spikes. And as bad as sweet gum trees are, I might just rather prefer to have the chestnut because at least that I could get the fallen branches and put them on the barbecue fire and have it smell decently. Um,
Well, when I say we used to have sweet gumball battles when I was a kid, I'm talking about kids, adults, everybody. I remember my parents getting into it, my uncles getting into it.
oh, sorry, whatever that was, it was a video.
I posted a video of
Oh,
what
pollen.
pollen is like in the South for anybody that might be interested.
Unfortunately,
Can you not show it?
it overrides all our sound as well as
Oh wow.
yeah.
Okay. Never
It's not
mind.
silent, and YouTube has ads, so
Okay.
we
So
have
we can't do
we have
that.
to be very careful about anything that we actually put on from YouTube. It has to it has to be something belonging to somebody in the group, an original
Okay.
creation or something. And even then, it helps if it doesn't have any sound because there's no way to control how loud the uh, the video would be.
Okay.
Well, it's no big deal. I mean, I've just now found this stuff out just in the last couple of weeks when I've had stuff that I was watching and just before show, and I didn't want to quit listening to it. I didn't do the share screen or anything, but it was coming out in the show,
Oh my.
in the green room part of the show, and people were going, "Hey, hey, hey, what you?" And there wasn't any speaker going. I could only hear it in my headphones, but it crossed over into StreamYard somehow.
Wow. That
That's
shouldn't
weird.
do. Yeah,
No,
that is weird.
it shouldn't do that at all. And it might just be the computer I'm using is not separating the audio very well. But other than that, it's a really neat computer. And it didn't cost me much, and it's rapidly fast, so I really like it. I mean, it's the only reason I've got any green screen ability now. And it's the only reason I don't wind up coming off like a stuttering Max Headroom video, which I used to do on the desktop and the laptop because they didn't have enough processing power for streaming video. So this thing does. I got it from I believe Newegg was having a sale, and I checked around, and the processor was fast enough to handle streaming videos. Chris,
About another 45 minutes ish.
yeah, um, we weren't planning on closing early or anything. If you want to come on in, the link is in the messenger channel for Stupid O'clock, so it's already in there. All you got to do is look it up. And I differentiate between the Stupid O'clock and Last Man Standing just by the initials. Well, yes, we want you on, dear boy.
Of course.
You
We
have
have.
to ask. You can barge
Come on
in
in here.
anytime.
Oh, and if anybody wants to know what a sweet gum ball looks like, I posted one in Messenger.
Let me, yeah. I'm having to lean around and look at the messenger icon
Oh, okay.
behind my camera. I didn't realize that it was behind the camera. I
Oh,
guess I'm just sitting extra low in my chair. So, ooh, that's a big. Ooh, I think I'll shrink that back down. That was rather uh,
large.
Lovecraftian was the word I was looking for. There we go. Now,
Now, those things are anywhere from an inch to an inch and a half in diameter. A really big one can be close to 2 inches.
and
Imagine running around at twilight in your grandparents' yard with you and your parents and your cousins and your aunts and uncles all flinging these things at one another. They hit bare skin, they sting.
hmm it's amazing they don't stick like ninja stars.
Yeah, it's you would think, but they don't.
Now,
Although they can scratch you up.
I will tell you, back when I was a child, we did not have fire ants. We had these. And that is why you do not run around barefoot in the South when you've got some of these trees around. The the fire ants actually hurt less, but they
Yes.
are more shocking. You expect sweet gum, you do not expect fire ants.
Well, there's also what was that tree that was in their front yard?
Ooh, it did zoom.
Yeah,
See, that was the view I got that went, ooh, this is Lovecraft.
yeah. Um, beech nut. It was a beech nut. That's what it was. And those they're not as big, but they got prickles on them too. A lot smaller, but because we used to eat the beech nuts. So, and then if you've got a black walnut tree, you got a mess
Mm, yep.
because
Uh,
the holes on the black walnuts, the outer holes are they're soft and they're pasty, and they make a really good blackish brown dye.
hmm Matter of
And you
fact,
don't.
they look like avocados that are perfectly round,
Yes.
but they've got a walnut inside
Mm-hmm.
instead of something edible. Well,
What?
I guess if you break into the walnut shell, you get something edible, but
But you've got to get through about yay much
yeah, a quarter inch to
of
half
that
inch.
whole husk before you can get to that. And
One,
that stuff will, I mean, it will stain skin. It's a permanent dye.
yeah.
You
If
didn't
if
want to get
you
it on
get
your
it on
clothes.
your clothes, it will not come out with bleach. There
That's
is
right.
no way. You
The Native
keep
Americans used to
those
use it.
clothes.
The Native Americans used to use it as a dye.
Hmm
So it makes a pretty black brown color.
hmm
But yeah, once it gets on something, it ain't coming out.
And uh, neighbor of ours that had a walnut tree in the front yard by the driveway. This tree, two grown men could not link arms around it. The trunk was so big. So I don't know how old it was, but it had been there for a little bit. They used to take and just rake the uh, the walnuts into the driveway, um, in the gravel driveway, just clean out from underneath the tree, and then just run over them with the car for a month or two to get all the soft part off, and then they'd go out there and use one of those little pecan
Grabber.
pickup things to get the actual walnuts out of it.
That's what we used to do. So yeah, just put it in the back driveway in the gravel and
Yep.
just drive over it every chance you got. And then after a couple months, especially if you left them out, long enough for them to get dry, then it
hmm
was easier to get without making a mess.
And you'd be surprised at how well a walnut fresh off the tree will survive being run over by a car tire without cracking open.
Yep.
I mean, you sometimes you pretty much got to have ammonia to be able to bust one of those suckers open.
Hmm. But oh, they're good eats, and
Hmm
they make. Mom used to, let's see, she used to put them in cakes, and she used to put them in ice cream.
hmm
Oh, black walnut. Mm 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 mm.
We
Nom
used
nom
to
nom.
we used to get some in bags of mixed nuts, and we're talking in the shell,
Yeah.
and the whole family would sit around cracking stuff open, and in the case of the walnuts, using a hammer and a brick and cracking them open,
And then
and
using the little picks to get the.
using the little picks to get everything out, and
Do
then
you?
Mama would put it on one of the flat trays for the oven, and put little thin slices of butter across it, and sprinkle salt on it, and put it in the oven, and just bake it just long enough for all the nut meats to get warm and the butter to melt and the salt to settle down. Whip it out, and us three kids would pretty much just fight over which one would be the first one to that red hot tray to get get her salted nuts off of.
One of these days, I've got to try roasted chestnuts. I've had raw chestnuts. I love them. Never
Yeah,
had roasted chestnuts. Don't know what they taste like.
I do not either, and probably the only reason was the only time that we were in England, it was during the summer, and it was not seasonal for anybody to be pushing around a little cart and selling little
Mm.
bags of roasted chestnuts. And I've never run across anybody selling them here in the U.S. like that. But I bet they are good, as as decent as they taste, um, unroasted. Uh, I bet they're pretty damn awesome. Something I would estimate something like a cross between a cashew and a pecan.
Probably, yeah.
I
Jump in here,
remember
Chris. Hmm?
I remember my grandfather having a black walnut tree
Yep.
behind his house. Oh man.
Big mess.
It could be. I mean, he liked walnuts, but he didn't always want to get them up and fool with it, so that kind of got left to other people to
Yeah.
do.
Hmm.
But he had some muscadine vines.
Oh,
Oh.
I know exactly what happens to muscadimes if you don't pick them on time.
I heard you talking about that the other night. And I'm thinking it was
What
With
bringing back memories.
what
And
happened?
what
he had pear
happens
trees and apple trees.
what happens with muscadimes? Lindsay and I came home from a Liberty Con one year, and there was a doe standing in the backyard, just standing there, just standing there, and didn't move. And I go walking out in the backyard, going, "Oh, she's going to run away. She's going to run away." And I got closer, and I got closer, and I got closer, and I got within about 8 feet, and she staggered away off into the woods. The muscadimes had fermented on the vine, and she had been eating the ones that we didn't pick. She was drunk off her little venison butt.
Where I grew up had umpteen gajillion dogwoods on it.
Hmm.
It was really pretty in the spring when they bloom. In the fall, all the little red berries would stay attached to the trees, and over time, they would also ferment. You haven't lived until you've seen all the squirrels and all the birds in the area in these dogwood trees eating these fermented red berries, falling all over the place,
Oh, that would be
staggering,
hilarious.
and birds that would run into stuff. They'd be flying along, run into stuff because they were too drunk to get around it.
That
And
that would
we go ahead.
that would be a perfect opportunity to had a smartphone back then with a good camera on it, so you could recorded the video.
Hmm.
We used to get, and it'd be, especially if there was a snow on the ground, because the berries stand out because they're red,
Hmm
and it would have been one of the few things that they could have gotten to. So everybody, all of the animals were drunk.
hmm
All the birds, all the squirrels were all drunk on dogwood berries, and that
That's
was the funniest thing. We would sit. Um, we had big picture windows overlooking the back deck, and it was all kind of an addition onto the house. And we would sit in the den and look out those picture windows and watch the birds and the squirrels get drunk.
Now, my mom grew up canning jelly and stuff like that. Just
Mhm.
learning how to do just Appalachia old home stuff. And there are lots of wild plum trees on the family farm. Some of them are yellow, some of them are red. The berries on them are about the size of a cherry, not like the big purple plum that people think of when you say plum. But we gathered up several wheelbarrow loads of these plums, and there were still plenty more that we did not touch. And Mama canned jelly for I don't know how long, but there was one batch. Something went just a little bit wrong. When we opened up the jars of jelly from that batch, it had fermented.
Mm.
My mom and daddy made fun of me for years because I had a jar of that jelly unopened underneath my bed, and I'm only like 11. So they raise alcoholics young in Tennessee, let me tell you. Oh,
Um,
I think that's in the South.
you put
Period.
that on a hot buttered biscuit, and oh man, not only did it taste good, but you were warm for the rest of your bus ride to school.
Oh, I'm sure.
It's hard to stay awake in class, but you were happy.
Oh, I forgot to ask you, Stephanie. Did you acquire any of the Scooby snacks?
I did. I finished the
What's
box earlier tonight.
They are good, aren't they?
They are good.
I'm probably gonna finish my box either tonight or tomorrow. Um, I usually they ask me about a week if
Yeah, that's about
sometimes
how
a little
long
bit
mine
longer.
lasts.
Ruby Roo.
Oh, they're good stuff. I'm
But
glad I'm glad you found some. I'm glad I let you in on that.
yep, yep. That was good.
Oh,
Um, oh, talking about canning and stuff. We had several grapevines, and Mom would make grape jelly. She'd put them up in quart jars. I mean, she made the best grape jelly. Welch's didn't have anything on her, let me tell you. Um, but then we also, geez, the number of different kinds of pickled cucumbers and canned tomatoes and tomato juice and green beans.
I finally got to try a few years back some pickled okra. I'd never tried it before. It's actually fairly good.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of okra.
I will put okra in a gumbo if I'm making that. And Lewis would laugh at me for my idea of a gumbo, but it's just a soup. It's,
Hmm.
it's got all kind of stuff in it, but it's just a soup the way I do it. And
Well,
then there's one brand in the grocery store that has
Kitty side.
yeah. They have a can. It's tomatoes, okra, and corn, and I love to put that in like my beef stew or something like that. But as far as fried okra, no, thank you.
cut it
It's
up in little bitty
Mm,
slices about half an inch thick. Put it in some cornmeal. Cook it in a cast iron
I
um,
know. Yep.
pan on the top of the stove. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, it tastes just like eating charcoal. I could not handle fried okra. I could not handle fried zucchini. I could not handle fried eggplant. Um, fried green tomatoes. I've had a chance to sample just about everything a country grandma would try and fry up. And there are some vegetables that are best eaten raw, in my opinion, or not eaten at all, in my opinion. Now,
Well, I
more
can't
more
handle.
power to everybody that can and does enjoy it. I'm not trying to detract from
Yeah,
y'all's enjoyment of anything at all. It's just there's something
it ain't
about
your cup of tea.
biochemistry that does not mesh.
It
Uh,
2
ain't your
words:
cup of tea.
boiled okra.
Uh, and unless it's in a gumbo or soup, I don't want no part of boiled okra.
For anybody that's listening that has never had boiled okra, okra is mucilaginous. And I swear that by the time you're done cooking it, it looks like okra lying in a big pot of snot.
Yeah, I can't handle boiled unless it's in a soup or a gumbo or something like that, and got something to go with it. Because I like it when
ye-
it's fried and tender. And my mom and grandmother would
Hey, Keisha.
we grow red and green okra, and they would mix it up, and the flavors were just. Hello, Miss Keisha.
and Keisha, I want to tell you right now, um, Monday night in Michaela's show, I did notice you had your makeup on and you looked marvelous. I didn't think that I should mention it in the show because we were talking about writing and everything, and it would definitely have been something to change the subject. But you were fabulous, and I just want to be able to tell you. So there.
Heck, she's pretty just without makeup.
Yes, I know, but I had never seen Keisha wearing makeup before. I thought,
Yeah, well, I'm
it
sure
was.
that was a treat. I missed it. I'm sorry, but
Oh, go back and watch the video if you are looking for some girl watching. But and I didn't want to embarrass Keisha, and I didn't want to derail the conversation that we were having right at the time. But I did
Keisha,
notice.
you and Lewis Lee make me hungry with all the pictures y'all post of some of the food that y'all have and prepare.
I
Oh,
wanted to go back to the food we were talking about a minute ago. Red okra?
hmm
I have never seen red okra. I didn't know there was such a thing.
hmm
Okay, now I
it's
gotta go.
almost purplish in color, and it's got some of the green with it
Oh,
still.
okay, okay. That I have seen, but I didn't know that was any different from any other kind of
Yeah,
okra.
they they
Mm,
they called it red okra. I mean,
All right, now I'm
Now,
gonna go. Holy cats! They weren't just whistling Dixie. That's red.
yep. Now, one thing I did discover at a party in college, if you slice up a raw eggplant or
hmm
let's see, um, squash, the yellow squash, or
hmm
even zucchini,
hmm
and put a big tub of ranch dressing in there,
hmm
you will have to fight me to get
hmm
any of it because I love that stuff. Raw broccoli, raw cauliflower.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you cook cauliflower particularly, and it's like throw it out. You ruined it.
mm, yeah. Just kind of heat it up just a little bit. don't don't boil it. Don't steam it. Just and
I've never been that big of a fan of eggplant.
um,
I'm
I
not a fan of eggplant.
I never had either until that party where it was finger food, and I wound up decimating the table. So,
Mhm.
and I did reduce it by 10%. Let me tell you, and
Well,
it was a big party, so that was a big 10%.
the interesting thing, my my taste have changed over the years.
Hmm.
Hmm.
When I was little, I could eat almost an entire um, one of those saucepans full of corn that had been warmed up on a stove top. I, s- I still can eat it, but I don't love it the way I once did. I mean, like I said, that was one of the few
Oh,
vegetables I ate when I was younger.
well, thank you, Keisha. I hope you enjoy it. Um,
That is awesome.
yeah, that's very nice of you. Thank you.
And Keisha, I'm a little bit behind, but I plan on getting your book as well because Dan told me some stuff about it, and it sounds like something I would find fascinating and enjoyable.
If you like sitting on the edge of your seat while you're reading something, this one's for you. And I can't wait till the next one comes out. Actually, and it's not my normal cup of tea. So I'm branching out here.
Every now and then, oh, you told me it was kind of a suspense slash mystery, and I like some mystery novels every so often.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't read all of them yet, but Elizabeth Lowell is a mystery author that I like some of her work, and of course some of the classic ones.
Mhm.
Agatha Christie with some of her stuff and all.
Good night, Keisha.
Good night, Keisha.
Good
I
night,
hope you
hon.
have a wonderful Friday ahead and weekend.
I am a fan of some of the 1920s style
Mm-hmm.
uh, mystery books. Marjorie Allingham's Campion, I just adore. Uh, now, I got introduced to that because on PBS they had Peter Davison
Mm-hmm.
as Campion in four uh, made for TV. I believe it was for BBC or it might have been ITV, but it's probably BBC. It showed up on Mystery on
Yeah.
PBS, and they had half of it is a 2 hour show,
Mm-hmm.
and the second half was a 2 hour the next week, and there were four of the shows, and then I found the books,
Mm. Well,
and
like I said,
I went absolutely crazy trying to find more of them. Let me tell you.
I have to be in the mood to read it, but when I get in the mood to read one, I'm bound and determined to read one. Um, Science fiction and fantasy are probably my two favorite genres, but I also like techno thrillers. I like biographies. I like histories, and there's other stuff that's just hit or miss. Things I don't normally like in that genre, but there's a few books in it that, for some reason or other, I started reading and enjoyed.
Hmm.
And
I've got to bring my Kindle home from work this weekend and put some fresh books on it because I am searching for things I have not read yet in the Kindle, uh, and I don't have it extremely loaded, but
mhm,
I have a lot of my favorite things in it. There are a couple of things that I bought that are actually graphic novels and
mhm,
flip books, and the Kindle screen is just entirely too tiny to be reading a comic book,
yeah,
basically.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I've got it
yeah,
with the desktop, and I can look it up and I can read it.
yeah.
I was
I,
reading there's one of these that I was reading. They would post 2 or 3 pages per day on the publisher's website, so you had to go. You could start at the beginning once they'd had it. They had the entire thing, but you only got like a maximum of 3 pages a day. And it's sort of like the Girl Genius comics by the Folios, which is, oh, I was religious with that up until the computer I was using died, and I didn't get another desktop computer for 2 years. I was reduced to using an iPad,
Mhm.
because I was out of money. I could not afford to get another to replace the desktop, and I just, I fell out of it. And the folios are still doing it, and it looks great. But I'd have to start all over again from the beginning, which would be delightful. It really would. But it's gotten to the point in my life that I would much rather I would much rather be writing than reading. And all the time that I've got to read is basically at work when I'm on break
Mhm.
on the Kindle. So I will buy as many books as I can, but it might take me an entire week, maybe 2 weeks to go through a normal sized book. And like I said, if it's a graphic novel, if I'm a fan of yours, I'll buy it, but I will not be able to read it unless it's at home. And when I'm at home, I've got this guilt for trying to read something instead of trying to finish what I've been writing. And I understand that is a normal thing for writers to I should be writing.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Which means I'm going through contortions right now because I can't write. I cannot string words together right now. Sorry.
they will come back.
That's true.
They will come back. The
Oh
worst
no.
time I had like that was when I had a concussion, and I could no, there was no, I couldn't even read anything, much less write anything.
Mm.
So it took a long time before the swelling of my brain went down, and I was able to
Mhm.
concentrate on anything again. But that was something really weird. While I had the concussion, I couldn't wear my prescription glasses because the pressure from my brain swelling had reshaped my eyeballs and given me 20/20 vision again.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but I still had to wear my glasses to go out and drive just because it said I needed glasses on my driver's license. But
Yikes.
I would have been much safer not to be wearing them. Uh, but as I healed from that injury, uh, my nearsightedness came back, but my
Mhm.
astigmatism suddenly vanished.
Hmm.
I'm just taking a wild guesstimate because don't have time to really do a hard count, but I'm gonna guess somewhere between 500 and 600 on my Kindle.
Oh, I don't have anywhere near that many yet. I've only had the thing a couple of years.
And
Um,
I got the 8-inch Kindle because it was on sale a few years ago. I
uh,
actually had a Galaxy Tab, but it just I didn't have enough room on it, even with an expansion cord on it, and
I
it
had
was
a I had a secondhand Android tablet that I was using,
it
and but it got to the point to where about once a month I would have to
was.
go back and reload
Hmm.
half the books that I had bought.
Yeah,
For some reason, it just blanked them out. They were no longer on the device. I had to download them all over again,
yeah,
even though I
and
didn't pay for them all over again.
I had a Nook that I really enjoyed, but it got to where it was. I guess it wasn't getting the support from Barnes and Nobles because Kindle took off, and I reckon it became the preferred e-reader format for those that don't have Kobo or some other type of e-reader thing.
I'll
Um,
be right back.
and I hated it because I could get stuff on Nook that I couldn't get on Kindle and vice versa. And I'm trying to get to where some of the novels I have from when I were younger that are out of print, or at least they haven't done a recent reprinting. I like having an electronic copy to go with the the paperback or the hardcover, just so I don't wear out the original hardcover or paperback. Because if I really like a novel, I tend to go back to it at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, I try and wait a period of time, but if I can wait till I start forgetting some of the details, I mean, I've read enough where I can kind of read through it a little bit faster, but I still get the full effect, and some of the stuff I don't recall. Like, oh yeah, that's neat. That did happen.
And
No, I don't
sometimes
want.
you catch things that you haven't caught before too. So.
Yep, yep. And I find that there's some novels that I can go through pretty quickly. One of the authors I get frustrated about because they don't have everything on Kindle of his is David and Lee Eddings. I mean, I've got the Belgariad, but I like to have the Malorian and the um, Tamuli and the Elenium, but they just have the first five for the most part. And I think I got Belgarath the Sorcerer. I think they did have that on it.
Mm.
And I worry about some of the novels that, like I said, from authors that have kind of stepped out of the spotlight because they're retired or in not as in good health, and some of them I wonder if they're worried about estate royalties and all that stuff. And
There's one writer that just passed away last year, and not all of his books had been converted to ebook.
mm-hmm,
And I don't know. There's maybe four that are only available
mm-hmm,
in paperback or hardback, and I would dearly love to have those on the Kindle myself.
yeah,
Uh, I had been buying one or two, buying one every other month or every
mm-hmm,
3 months or every four, whatever I could afford,
yeah,
because I'm not going to just sit and buy one writer's books
mm-hmm,
until I've got them all. Not even Terry Pratchett.
yeah,
Uh, uh, once I
and
heard
and
once I heard he passed,
mm-hmm,
I made a point of uh, as often as I could afford it,
mm-hmm,
get one or two a week. Every
yeah,
paycheck, buying something
yeah,
until I had everything that was ebook,
yeah,
because I figured this is the best way I can help his family.
yeah, and I also try and catch deals. I mean, and not that I have tons of money to spend, but um, I do work quite a bit, and I do try and splurge ever so often and get things that of course, if I'm at a con, I want to try and buy some paperbacks if I can afford it, because to me that's a little bit more of a reward for the author, but hopefully financially, and I know it's a treat for them to have somebody actually wanting their book and then to autograph it and all that stuff.
Yep, I've told Lindsay to if anything ever happens to me and she's trying to figure out what to do with
Mm-hmm.
my books if I haven't
Mm-hmm.
left strict instructions, I'm going,
Mm-hmm.
honey, some of these have been autographed,
Mm-hmm.
and some of the autographs are from people who are no longer with us. And if you are not eager to just empty the shelves,
Mm-hmm.
some of those might actually be worth more than just regular
Yeah.
sale price,
Yeah.
because autograph, but it's like any other collectible.
Hmm.
You've got to find somebody that's looking for it.
Hmm.
Exactly.
And
Somebody who's willing to pay that price.
hmm and I don't know. How do you get autographs appraised? I don't know. I don't know.
Well,
Uh,
it depends on the author, how much of a following they have, and
yeah,
if
I
somebody
mean,
doesn't have their autograph and they would like their autograph, then if they have a certain amount of income, then they're going to be predisposed to paying more for it.
yeah, I mean,
It's just hit or miss because you don't know who's going to be the fan that doesn't have the autograph that wants it.
well, yeah, I'm thinking, naturally, a book autographed by Jules Verne is probably going to bring more money than a book autographed by, say, Jerry Purnell, even though they're both equally good writers.
Yep.
And it's certainly going to be worth more than a book autographed by me.
Yeah, and well, let's just say Edgar Rice Burroughs. You had
Yep.
something signed by him. Could you
Uh,
imagine if you had a book signed by Charles Dickens or Mark Twain?
I'm Lindsay used to live. She would walk by Dickens's house on her way to
Hmm.
school every day, uh, or on her way to
Hmm.
the train station where she would go to school every day. I don't know. She's lived all over, so it's very hard for me to keep track. Um,
Also, if it's an author that doesn't give autographs easily, that would
Yeah.
be one to have
mhm.
because there's some that don't like it
This is true. I can't imagine why, but this is true.
for whatever reason. They're antisocial. Maybe their hand cramps up, and
Yeah.
maybe they price themselves out where not just anybody's going to pay what they're asking for an autograph. Of course,
Well,
you run the risk of alienating your fans, but
I that's a concept that is really foreign to me. Charging for an autograph. Now
it doesn't happen often, but it does happen.
I could see actors maybe.
Hmm.
Um,
Because otherwise, they've got no way to make money from attending a convention. A
Yeah,
lot of them.
yeah,
yeah.
but with the tier of writers that I am in, uh, I'll sign anything you want except a blank check. All right.
I won't
Yeah.
sign just anything because I actually had in one of my early conventions that I
Hmm.
attended as an author.
Hmm.
Um, I was on a panel that was discussing books being converted to movies,
Hmm.
and there was this one kid, excuse me, teenage kid sitting right down front. He did not read books. He'd seen all the movies, but he absolutely would not pick up a book. And we tried to convince him that you're missing something here, because there's a whole lot more in the book than they can possibly put in a movie.
Oh yeah.
And afterwards, he came up to my book table, and he kind of looked over my books a little bit, and he kind of turned his nose up a little bit, and then he grabbed one of my business cards, and he handed it to me, and he said, "Will you autograph this, please?" And I said, "No, I'll only autograph my books." And he walked off.
Hmm.
And the other authors sitting around me who had been in that panel, they were
Hmm.
like, because he was being a jerk.
Hmm.
So,
Oh, some kids are really excellent at it.
So no, I won't sign just anything.
Yeah.
Now there
Well, that's
was
perfectly
one
understandable.
convention where I only had one short story out in one anthology, and nobody knew I was going to be at the convention,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't have any copies to sell.
Mm-hmm.
People kept bringing me up program books from the convention and asking me for autographs.
I've done that before, sure.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, if you want, if you really like somebody and you want their autograph, and that's the only thing you got to get an autograph for, go for it. Especially if you're listed in the program guide.
Yeah, well, really, and back in the day, people had autograph books. It was just blank pages that they would get celebrities to sign. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
matter if they were writers or movie stars or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And that was the style of thing that was done in that day and age.
Oh yeah.
Nobody much does that anymore, but I wouldn't be surprised if somebody actually came up with a blank book and said, "Can I get your autograph?" And I make sure it was my writer's autograph and not the one
Mm-hmm.
I put in my checks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, I got to thinking about that. If I ever wrote a novel, I'm like, I'd have to change my handwriting because I don't want you to say one that I signed stuff with.
Well, you develop a signature for your autographs
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
that is separate from your legal signature,
Yes.
it's
and
kind of like speed writing.
yeah,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
a lot less distinct.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can
Put
in
some
mine
vagueness in there.
you can read the S, you can see the
Mm-hmm.
T, you got the PH, and then it's kind of you know.
now
So
Little
I've
vagueness in there.
got
never
I've got
rub your nose after you've been petting the cat.
I've got autographs from famous writers that I could swear they were. I've seen the same handwriting on
Mm-hmm.
prescriptions. You know,
Uh-huh.
Oh yeah.
like,
Well, you know.
and I'm going. It did you just do that in shorthand or what?
It's midnight, guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it's
time
one here.
it's time to call it. So for all of you out there who are watching or will be watching sometime in the future, thank you very much for your time and your patience. I hope you enjoyed the show. And yeah, we're all crazy on this bus, but
Absolutely.
we enjoy every minute of it. So
Of course.
We do not suffer from insanity. We enjoy our insanity.
we
Yep.
chase it down an alley and mug it,
We we we,
just like we do foreign languages for new grammar and vocabulary.
we relish our insanity.
That's right. Insanity doesn't run on my family. It sits on the porch with a mason jar of whiskey and in a rocking chair and just enjoys watching the world go by. Oh, I'm looking forward to being retired so much. 23 more months.
Wow.
And counting.
And counting. Yes,
It'll
indeed.
be here before you know it.
No, it won't. I'm counting every damn day.
Hey, I had a coworker that did that, and when he said, and when I'm done, I'm done. He said, I don't, you, I, you won't be seeing me.
I have told several of the executives at the factory that if they decide that my expertise is needed after I retire, I will be available for a consulting fee, somewhat higher than Jim Rockford's.
Oh yeah,
$1,000 a day, 3 day minimum.
yep,
Doesn't matter if it takes me 30 minutes to do what you want done.
yep,
I've got to come back in this drafty old barn one more time, and you paying for my discomfort.
yep.
On that note, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the story.
Good
Good night.
night.
Good night.